Hello, Jacob here. And, yeah, well, let's just say I'm very nervous for this game this week because, well, I don't like to necessarily say this, but this feels like a must win game. I know it's only week 2, but at this point, it feels like a must win game because we should have beaten the Bengals last week, but self inflicted wounds, Dalvin Cook not being called down when he clearly was, Ja'Marr Chase actually looking like the best receiver from this rookie class and winning Rookie of the Week on top of that. Yeah, no, I'm not salty at all. It's just this team should have been a lot better, and, well, again, the problems of the preseason have reared their ugly head last week. There's a reason why I was kind of panicking after these preseason games. Now a lot of the Vikings fans and faithful are seeing why, because we have not seen enough of the main guys to know what actually is happening here. And then last week, 10 penalties on top of the Dalvin Cook incident. And now we're 0-1 going into Arizona. By the way, this Arizona Cardinals defensive line, by the way, this will kind of tie into point number 1 / question number 1 is, how does our offensive line compare to the Cardinals defensive line? Because Chandler Jones went off for 5 sacks last week in Tennessee against a much better offensive line than ours. At least in my opinion. To be fair, I really didn't watch a lot of that game, or hardly any of that game, but still, 5 sacks by Chandler Jones. By the way, is it officially time to say Chandler Jones might be one of the best defensive ends or pass rushers in the entire league? Like maybe top 2 or 3 at this point? Because remember, this is the same Chandler Jones just a couple seasons ago had close to 20 sacks in a season. Arguably one of the best defensive ends that hardly ever gets talked about. Mainly because, again, he's probably in Arizona, and, the attention is always going to be on that flashy offense, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, how are we going to do against that offensive line? Because, good golly, that offensive line was bad against the Bengals. I'm just thankful that Kirk Cousins didn't fumble the ball or get turnovers, but that's another thing, Kirk. Get rid of the ball! If there's nothing there, just get rid of it. Don't hold on to it for 8 seconds, trying to make the killer plays. Or just say fuck it and throw it. Which kind of ties into point number 2. Can our offense do anything? Anyway. With that build up aside there. Oh boy. Yeah, again, can our offense actually move on anyone now? Because I will say in the second half, our offense got a lot better. But, I mean, good God. It was just a culmination of just the penalties. Not really getting much of a run game going, per se. But I don't know how much of that was actually us not continuing to run the ball, and how much of that was just our offensive line not being able to do anything. And then Kirk Cousins had to play Superman, which we all know never ends well. But anyway, yeah. That's all I got to say there. But anyway, on to their offense. By the way, can our defense actually slow anybody down? Because last week, they let Ja'Marr Chase go off for over 100 yards. And Ja'Marr Chase actually looks like a number 1 receiver now. At least until he actually plays a defense. Yes, I'm calling this defense out. We have to do better. I will say, though, the pressure on the line, good to see. But, man, our secondary got toasted a few times there. Bashaud Breeland got literally turnstyled by Ja'Marr Chase on a touchdown that basically blew the game open for a while there. Then, yeah, Kirk Cousins managed to bring us back into overtime. Greg Joseph looked pretty good, though. I will say that. He did actually kick beyond 50. And that's a good thing, especially moving forward in the season here and years past, moving forward and all that stuff. But, oh boy, yeah. Our defense has to go up against Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, a decent run game. I know that James Conner's probably their feature back at this point. I really don't know the depth behind. And Christian Kirk is a speedy guy as well. So, yeah, you know how we are against those mobile type of quarterbacks. Yeah. Usually doesn't end well. But I will say, though, like I say, our defensive line is a lot better, but edge protection has to be key. You have to keep Kyler in the pocket. Which, again, is easier said than done because Kyler Murray. By the way, in a few weeks, we get to go play this guy by the name of Lamar Jackson. Does that name ring a bell, anybody? Yeah. But again, that's down the line. We'll worry about that when we get to there because the Ravens have their own set of issues at this point. Woof. They can't stay healthy to save their lives this year. Anyway, again, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But back to this game. Oh, man. Again, I really have doubts on this game because I do not have a good feeling on this. Because of that reason. Because I have yet to see this team do anything. Again, week 1, I get that. But we saw this during the preseason because, well, we didn't play anybody. Therefore, the continuity was bad. Therefore, Zimmer doesn't know how to groom anybody. And, and then here comes the pitchforks and torches, and we're going 0-17, and blah, 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 blah. There's a reason I avoid the Vikings media if I can at all help it after a loss, because good motherfucking Lord, you would think the world is ending. And I know I'm just as guilty as the rest of the Vikings fans are too, but again, I've just seen this so many times with this team. Oh boy. Again, I wonder how Steve Dangle over there on the hockey side of things does it for as long as he has being a Leafs fan. By the way, some really interesting content there too if you're into hockey. But yeah, so again, I don't have high hopes for this game. But that doesn't mean we still can't win this game. I mean, we definitely have the firepower for it. It's just, can we slow them down? Can our passing game get more than 2 seconds? And will Kirk Cousins know when to dish it and dump it and get rid of the ball instead of holding on to it for 10 seconds and then getting fractioned by a defensive lineman or a blitzing linebacker or corner? Because they also do have some speed on their secondary as well. So, oh boy. Again, we'll just wait and see what happens here. Also, kind of an interesting thing, too, it's a 305 game. We actually have quite a few of those this year. Well, again, that kind of happens when you play West Coast teams, But, yeah, so again, stay tuned because I'll be sure to do a recap after the game and all that stuff. And alrighty, fellas. Like I say, this is a must-win here. If we want to have any hope for this season, we cannot start off 0-2. We cannot start off 0-2. So, because literally, the next week is the home opener against the Seattle Seahawks, who absolutely cooked the Colts. But again, we'll preview that next week. But again, do your job, fellas. We don't have to be cute. We don't have to be fancy. Do your job. Cut down on those penalties. Kirk, know the time. If you don't feel it, don't hold on to the ball. Either get rid of it or throw it down the field to Jefferson or one of those guys. And also just don't throw up lame ducks either. I mean, don't get me wrong here, but at least give them hope. But still. And also defense. Discipline and don't get turned around and fooled, because again, these guys are dangerous. So, yeah, that'll pretty much conclude this preview slash therapy session slash rant video. So, join me again. This is Jacob. Oh boy, this is going to be an interesting season, isn't it? I can already feel it. So, have a good day.